In this video, let's talk about a few takeaways from the Chiefs and Seahawks game and then shift focus to this upcoming Sunday where the Chiefs will be facing the Broncos, a team that had a player suspended, their head coach fired, and multiple players seen not getting along, all within the past 24 hours. So let's talk about it, but first, how about those? What's up, guys? My name is Cole and I do daily news about the Kansas City Chiefs. Hope you guys had a good holiday, Christmas, whatever you celebrate. I know I did. I got this signed Tony Gonzalez helmet right here, a Derek Thomas jersey, and had a good time with the wife, both of our girls. It was a great time. Hope you guys did as well. If you did, make sure to slap that like button and then make sure to sub if you're new, and let's get into this video. Last Saturday, Christmas Eve, the Chiefs celebrated a convincing victory. Thank God. A convincing victory is always nice, especially given the fact we went into overtime with the Texans and barely beat the Broncos. Anyway, the victory was convincing against the Seattle Seahawks, in which they won 24-10. But with around 5 minutes left in the game, the score was 24-3. So while it wasn't the best offensive showing in the world from the Chiefs, the game was still never really within reach for the Seahawks. Kadarius Toney had a touchdown on a jet sweep. McKinnon had a touchdown as he spun his way into the end zone for a hard-fought touchdown on a check-down pass in the red zone. And then Mahomes himself scored an epic rushing touchdown for the ages, maybe. It was pretty dope as he Supermaned out off of his left hand, stretching for the pylon and putting up the last Chiefs touchdown of the game, making it 24-3 with 4 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game. The Seahawks did end up driving down and scoring before the game's end, but again, the game was never close. Now let's talk about some positive and negative takeaways from this game, and we'll just start with the negatives first, end it on a better note. Maybe. Mahomes threw for his second lowest total yards of the season, 224, and they were well below their norm on third down conversions. They lead the league, I believe, converting third downs around 50% of the time, and they were only 3 for 11 in this game against the Seahawks, and they ended up punting 6 times, which is tied for the most punts in one game that the Chiefs have done this season. And then wide receiver Justin Watson was the lowest graded offensive player and had 0 receptions on 4 targets, which was tied for the second most targets for wide receivers outside of only Juju Smith-Schuster. And Watson had 2 very tough drops. Like, I don't care how cold it is, you should never drop that freaking pass ever kind of drop. So while the receiver room continues to confuse me with someone like Justin Watson getting wide receiver 2 snaps only behind Juju, if you look at the snap count. Meanwhile, rookie Sky Moore saw only 6 receiving snaps, the least on the team out of everyone who ran receiving routes in the game. That's confusing. Don't know what to do there, but there were some bright spots worth mentioning on this offense. First, Isaiah Pacheco had 90 yards from scrimmage, marking this his 7th game in a row with at least 80 yards from scrimmage, and puts him at 847 total yards from scrimmage on the season. And a couple notes on Pacheco. With 2 games left in the regular season, he could reach 1,000 yards from scrimmage if he has at least 76.5 yards in each of the last 2 games. And then something else on Pacheco. Over the last 7 games, he has averaged 76.86 rushing yards per game since becoming the clear lead running back via rushing attempts. And if you were to average out those 7 games over the course of an entire 17-game season, Pacheco would have approximately 1,306 rushing yards by season's end, which is pretty freaking incredible to think about, considering this man is a 7th-round draft pick, and CEH, a 2020 first-round draft pick, has not rushed for more than 803 yards in a season since becoming a Kansas City Chief. Another positive, despite all their offensive woes, the Chiefs put up 24 points, as well as the special teams. We'll give them some credit because Harrison Butker, who has been making rounds among social media with him and Tommy Townsend, he went 3 for 3 on extra points and 100% on field goals, making 1. Some other stats: the offensive line only allowed 3 total pressures on Mahomes. Orlando Brown Jr. graded out exceptionally well in pass blocking, the highest on the entire team out of the entire O-line at least. Travis Kelce had another game with over 100 yards receiving, and in this game also became the fastest tight end to 800 receptions. And then Pacheco and McKinnon saw the highest receiving yards outside of Kelce, which I don't know if that's a good thing, to be honest, but it's a positive showing, I guess, from receivers that aren't technically wide receivers. So tip of the cap to them, and shout out to the veteran Jerick McKinnon, because he's been quite the weapon for the offense, especially over the past few weeks. In the last 3 games alone, McKinnon has racked up 5 touchdowns and has averaged just shy of 100 yards from scrimmage per game, 294 total, and you gotta freaking love it. I actually dropped a YouTube short on McKinnon today. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the Chiefs defense played incredible, racking up 9 tackles for loss, sacking Geno Smith twice, pressuring him more than that, and then the 2 sacks. One was Chris Jones, the other, the rookie George Karlaftis, who actually recorded his 4th sack in the past 5 games. He also batted down a pass on 4th and 3, and then Juan Thornhill got his 2nd interception of the season as Geno Smith threw to nobody but Juan Thornhill. I don't know what happened there, but Juan picked it off, so let's go. Then the defense held the Seahawks to a horrible 2 for 14 on 3rd downs, and the Seahawks also went 3 for 6 on 4th down conversions. Nick Bolton had 17 tackles, per usual, leading the team. Willie Gay had a pass batted down as well as a tackle for loss, and cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, he took one for the team by being the guy to cover DK Metcalf during the game. According to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, he said, quote, "L'Jarius Sneed told me that Coach Spags asked him on Monday if he was up for the challenge of traveling with DK Metcalf today, and Sneed said he was ready for the challenge. Metcalf after the game told Sneed he has a lot of respect for him." Well, that's nice, but Sneed struggled a bit in this game and was the 2nd lowest graded defender in the game, and this was actually his worst overall grade for him on the season. Meanwhile, Metcalf had 9 targets, resulting in 7 catches for 81 yards, and Sneed paid the price for it on the stat sheet, but who freaking cares? They held the Seahawks to 10 total points, the lowest they've kept any team in a game outside of the LA Rams, and hey, if they continue to do that, honestly, I'm not going to complain much about the defense in future games, because you hold teams to 10 points or very minimal points, sack them, get pressures on them, help them not convert 3rd down conversions. It's only going to spell good things in the postseason, especially if the offense sputters a bit like they did in this game. And here's a bit more good news. According to Coach Reed in his presser today, there are no new injuries to be reported, so nice. And also for Christmas, the team got Coach Reed a cheeseburger and a Nike box, to which he said he really enjoyed.
So, yeah, the cheeseburger was great. It was fresh and one of the better ones I've had. Great Christmas present.
In other more relevant news, the Broncos fired head coach Nathaniel Hackett today after 15 weeks and a measly 4-11 record. And in his stead, according to Adam Schefter, senior assistant coach Jerry Rosberg, whom Nathaniel Hackett hired during the season to aid him in clock management strategy. Remember, the crowd was counting down, helping them get the ball off before a delay of game happened. It was a freaking mess, man. Anyway, he's the new head coach, the new interim head coach, effective immediately, and Field Yates reported that Nathaniel Hackett becomes just the 5th coach in NFL history to be fired before the end of his first season, 4-11 in 15 games, a disaster tenure. I will say, though, there's more to this. We'll get into it, but I don't really feel like Nathaniel Hackett was the main issue. I would say it's more on the GM and Russell Wilson, and it seems that Tom Pelissero would agree with me on that to some degree, as he said this today. He said that there was
a lot of blame in those early weeks on Nathaniel Hackett's shoulders. As this season has gone on, the blame has really shifted from Nathaniel Hackett to George Payton for the contract and the trade, to Russell Wilson. It has actually, in the last several weeks, been on Nathaniel Hackett in this city a little bit less than those other two.
But alas, the Broncos are royally screwed and locked into Russell Wilson's contract for years to come. So the best thing that they can do is hope that new coaching will be able to unlock the Russell Wilson of old and allow him to cook without having to use a freaking microwave. If they can do that, then I don't know, maybe Russ will do better, or if he doesn't, he's gone after a couple of years. But it's going to take some major sacrifice to part ways with this man based on his contract and the way it's set up. I just can't believe they extended him before he played a single snap for the team. But anyway, I'm not really complaining As a Chiefs fan, I'm here for it and hope he continues to play as bad as he has been this season for years to come. Please and thank you. Anyway, the news does not end here because on top of firing their head coach, the Broncos will also be without defensive end Randy Gregory. He is actually suspended for a week for open hand slapping Rams offensive lineman Oday Abousheh, I think is how you say his name, after they got dominated by the Rams. The teams were seen shaking hands with each other after the game. And yeah, he slapped him in the face. They both got suspended because the other guy hit him back. Remember, Randy Gregory in the offseason, he inked a 5-year, $70 million deal with Denver, and he has 2 sacks. Just one more than the average man on the entire season, and is also out there acting like a complete dillweed and getting suspended. Now, to be fair, he did miss quite a bit of the season after suffering a meniscus injury in his right knee that needed surgery after week 4, but still, that big of a signing in the offseason. Then he has this little production and is out there slapping players with an open palm after the game, right after they got decimated by Baker Mayfield and a failing Rams team. This was one of the main reasons, guys, why Nathaniel Hackett was fired. Reportedly, he had lost the locker room, and when that happens, it's basically a done deal, and it was literally oozing out onto the field all over the place. Another example, look at this, Courtland Sutton. Not the first time he's done this year. Jerry Jeudy is another one who's been acting a fool multiple times on and off the field. In the Chiefs game, remember, he threw his helmet down and appeared to have what looked like to be a seizure or a demonic possession, but we're not talking about Jerry Jeudy. We're talking about Courtland Sutton. He could be seen mid-route, visibly frustrated with Russell Wilson for not hitting him for a first down pass. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson decided to take a shot to the end zone and the ball got picked off. One of 3 interceptions for him on the night. And then the even bigger one. You can see in this video clip, offensive guard Dalton Reisner shoved backup QB Brett Rippon after Rippon reportedly confronted some of the O-line after Russell Wilson got absolutely leveled and nobody helped him up, or at least it took them some time for somebody to go over there and help him up. So I guess Rippon let them know, hey guys, that's not cool. And Reisner did not like that very much, shoved Rippon, then could be seen shouting, do something, Rip. Like, bro, he's just saying if the QB gets leveled, help him up. After all, you guys, i.e. the O-line, have been underperforming all year. Russell Wilson is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL with 49 total and giving up sacks left and right, like Oprah handing out free cars back in the day. Anyway, I'm not defending Russell Wilson, don't get me wrong, because honestly, he has sucked this year, and many of those are definitely on him. I'm just saying that Hackett was fired for more than just the team being 4-11. It was also because he lost the locker room, and there's evidence all over the freaking place, especially most recently in yesterday's game. And with the firing of Nathaniel Hackett, the next head coach rumors have started swirling, and one name that's been in the hat already circulating is a familiar name to us, and that is Chiefs OC, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, along with Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, and many others. But what makes the most sense to me, as I said earlier, it's going to need to be a head coach that has some sort of familiarity with Russell Wilson, unless they are willing to make an extreme sacrifice and get rid of Mr. Unlimited within the next year or 2. Greg Rosenthal tweeted this out today, saying the Broncos don't have to keep Russell Wilson. There is a strong case to cut him with a post-June 1st designation. Swallow your cat medicine and move on. I'd expect some coaching candidates to make that case. Will that happen? Good God, I'm not really sure. I would think that is much less likely than just finding a new coach who can bring out the best in Russell Wilson, but it's not impossible. Could it be Eric Bieniemy? Sure, but he has no previous coaching experience with Russell Wilson, and I'm not sure putting another first-time head coach over there in Denver is going to solve the problems. Nathaniel Hackett was a dumpster fire. Case closed. Anyway, the reason why I talked about all of this in such depth is there's a couple reasons. It's an AFC West team. We like seeing how they're doing, especially like seeing how they're doing when it's not good at all, but also because the Broncos play the Chiefs this weekend, Sunday, January 1st, 2023 at noon. And this is going to be the second meeting between the two teams in roughly 3 weeks. Denver will now have to travel to Arrowhead with a brand new interim coach, lots of dissension in the locker room, an attempt to play better than they did a few weeks ago, in which they did, to their credit, only narrowly lose to the Chiefs 28-34. But I'm not entirely sure the Broncos will be ready to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead with all these issues going on. That's where I kind of want to ask you guys, what do you think about all of this? Do you think the firing of Hackett and the continued dissension in the locker room will be a distraction from these guys playing their best football on Sunday? Or could they possibly be rejuvenated, remotivated, something like that, with all of this happening, and find something even greater to play for and play even more focused and at a higher level in the game this Sunday? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those